The evening was growing chill, and the waters of the Wellspring would be colder still. I planned to wear my tunic, maybe even bring a fur along. Honestly, I didn't feel inspired to paint in the slightest, but I would look foolish appearing before the entire tribe as if I had forgotten the festival. As Corey made a few final adjustments to his wing harness, the hide flap over the doorway moved aside. It wasn't Father as I had expected. Instead, Sarah appeared in the door. A wonderful array of rippling blue and chalky white covered her exposed skin, outlined with a smooth, deeper shade of violet. Her face was lightly dusted with the chalky white paint, a thick band of violet across her eyes. The contrast made the blue of her eyes appear all the more radiant. They were calm, where anger had been. "May I come in?" she asked politely. In a panic, I fumbled for an excuse. "This is my father's house. I can't—" "Of course, come in," Corey interrupted. She entered, letting the deerskin fall closed behind her. "You aren't ready?" she asked, looking most extravagant in a way I'd never seen. Her hair was neatly braided and bound back, revealing more of her delicate features. Shimmering blue dots traced the curve of her brow that crossed through both the violet and the white. The same blue lightly traced the soft outline of her lips. "No, not yet," I stated the obvious. "Is it okay if I work?" I requested, gesturing to the paints along the hearth. "Of course. Would you like some help?" she offered, stepping into the center to stand next to me. I felt my eyes widen in panic. I hadn't expected this in the slightest. No thanks. Corey is here. He can—" "No can do, brother. I'm out of here. Running late, remember? This is my big chance. I can't miss it for the world, let alone to rub paint across your greasy hide. Sarah's already offered. She can fix you up, if you're not too fragrant for her. At least the parts of you covered in berry got a rinse today." Corey laughed. He had a fair point. I hadn't bathed today, or perhaps the day before either. I'd been far too busy running around the village. I comically sniffed myself for their amusement, and stood proud and strong in my musk. Corey and Sarah laughed. "You smell nearly as strong as your grandfather," Sarah joked. "Thank you," I responded rather proudly. "He'd love to hear it." "He'd tear up for sure, from pride as well as the stink," Corey teased with a brimming smile as he made for the door. His spirits were certainly high. "Fix him up nice, Sarah. Leave it to him and he'd go just as he is now," he sputtered merrily as he disappeared through the doorway with the shuffle of stolen insect wings. As soon as Corey was gone, Sarah came close. "Now let's get you ready. Lose the top." "I'd rather keep it. It's chill out," I responded, knowing she wouldn't take no for an answer. "The fire will keep you warm. Besides, you'll look brave and strong without it," she insisted. "Now come on, arms up." I didn't need to go without my tunic to prove myself, nor did I require her assistance in the slightest. Not willing to risk another fallout, I lifted my arms, and she slid the worn hide tunic up and over my head, getting it caught around my unruly mane of dark hair as she did so. She tugged a few times before relenting. "I'll let you work that out," she laughed, reaching for the paints along the fire pit. I pulled the tunic free of my hair, my headband pulling free with it. I held on to the headband and tossed my tunic at the cluttered lump along the southern wall of the hut that was my bed. I felt ridiculous, and my frustration began to rise at my predicament. "Those are really nice," she said, nodding toward the bouquet of red lilies still stuffed along my waistband. Instantly I felt like a fool, having all but forgotten. "Yeah," I spewed as I carefully retrieved the flowers and presented them to Sarah. "They're for you." She placed the small clay pot of red back along the hearth with the others and took hold of the small bundle of flowers. She was glowing and content. I hadn't botched the gesture too badly. "Thank you, Kael. These are my favorite." She brought them close to her face and closed her eyes as she breathed deep of them. The bouquet was well battered. A few of the flowers had already begun to wilt. "You're welcome," I responded, glad to see she was happy to have them despite the poor presentation. Out of the small bouquet I had assembled, only 2 of the flowers remained intact. She selected the best 2 flowers and brought them up to her hair. She closed her eyes with a smile as she skillfully worked the vibrant red flowers to rest slightly above and to the left of her soft, colorful face. As I watched her do this, I noticed for perhaps the first time that she had bloomed, much like the lilies she adorned. Her slender frame was strong and capable, but appeared soft and delicate in every way. She had blossomed into a fine young maiden of our people without my realizing, and tonight's festival was just as special for her as it was for me. I felt silly that I hadn't noticed before, so narrow and selfish had my intentions been. This realization did little to still my nerve, as her eyes suddenly sprang open with a radiant burst of blue. Their sparkle glistened as a smile turned her lips, the deep red lilies ablaze in her thick dark hair. "You look lovely," I finally managed. She brightened. "Why, thank you, Kael. You actually said something nice. Any stoic words of wisdom to mark the occasion?" she asked rather sarcastically, cutely shrugging to one side. "I think Gran might have a few," I teased, and together we laughed. "Let's get you ready." She rose from where she knelt over the paints and moved closer to me. "I think we should start with red," she said, dipping 2 fingers into the small container of red paint before she brought them to the center of my chest. The paint was cold, and her touch was soothing. Chills rippled across my skin as she ran a thick stripe of red down my sternum. Her fingers came to rest on my waistcloth just below my navel, the lingering weight of her touch pulling at the snug fit of the wrap. Her words came soft and low. I spoke with my mother at the return ceremony. You missed it. All 4 returned. Ah, I responded. Indeed, I had missed the ceremony. It was good to know the last troop had fared so well. Blessed news. I was mad at you, you know, for missing it. I was mad at you anyway, she laughed. Mother asked me why I was upset, and I couldn't really answer. She stopped for a moment, as if contemplating her next words. Turn around, she directed, as she dipped her fingers again in the red paint. I turned away from her and felt the slick cool of her touch return to my skin, this time leading down along my spine. Another ripple of chills washed over me. I'll spare you the finer details of her lecture, she continued, but she said it would be a shame to waste a day on something as useless as a grudge, especially a day as important as this. She reached again for a dab of the dwindling red paint. I see, I said, having nothing better with which to respond. Her fingers continued to work the paint across my skin, bringing waves of chills each time she did so. She finished with the paints in no time. My arms and legs were covered in banded stripes of green and yellow. She rummaged through the paints Corey had used and found the shade of blue she liked, and used it to trace along my ribs and face. The remaining red she used sparingly, shadowing around my eyes with the leftover blue. With the last of the red, she coated the palm of her right hand and placed it over my heart, a moment that made it skip in my chest. I couldn't see the finished result, but I felt ready. I tied my raven headband proudly to rest again at my brow. Taking Sarah's hand in mine, we departed for the festival well underway.